Yo, what is good, duelists? We have another meta. I shouldn't say another. It's been a minute since I've done these, but we have a meta analysis. So I'll be going over basically just some like regional lists from this past weekend and some of the YCS lists from Brazil. So basically just a recap of the last week. We haven't really seen much of an update for this regional, but last weekend before this YCS weekend, we did see that Rescue Ace actually performed really well at regionals, which I was kind of surprised by because in Brazil it didn't do as hot, even though it's a really good deck and it's going to be one of the most powerful decks post AGOV because they get pretty much five more extenders or five more fire hydrants, which will allow you to extend more. That deck is getting the biggest buff, I would say, out of all of these decks that we see here. But so Cashdiro was at 5, Rescue Ace was at 5, and Unchained was at 4. We're definitely going to see Unchained, I think, take the spot. So with top 8 for YCS Sao Paulo, the deck breakdown, we had 34% Unchained and 13% Cash and 13 Pearly, so it's pretty even. I know for top 16, I think Cash was actually the most top deck, if you could believe that, which is kind of weird because usually Cash transitions well into top cut. We saw a lot of top fours that were only Cash before this last set release, before we got Pearly buff and Unchained buff. And then when we went to top 8, we saw 50% of the list in top 8 for these 3v3 teams had Unchained. So Unchained is looking tier 0 based off just this. So leading up to Indianapolis, I definitely think Unchained is the deck to beat. It's definitely kind of like undoubtedly the best deck, I think, right now with a 50% top rate or top 4 rate. That's kind of insane. Obviously, though, that's not like people weren't playing Kashtira, even though that was the only deck in top 4 for a while, up till Nats. People still didn't play that deck and still thought it was counterable, but obviously it proved itself to be like the best deck. And Unchained isn't even at that marker yet. But Pearly is interesting because you think it's like such a good Kashtira counter, not the best Unchained counter besides the Happy Memory can be really good, but obviously it's really dependent on who goes first too. And then for the finals, we had a Pearly matchup versus Dragon Link. This matchup didn't really matter actually because I think so. Ruben, it was 1-1 before it finished, and then Kamal was the one who solidified that their team actually won. So he won 2-1, and then Pack also won his match. So Ruben was about to play game 3, and then Kamal and Pack already won. So they kind of just won the YCS outright with this lineup. This lineup seems like it was the best one, evidently. Dragon Link seemed like a really cool meta call. Not only that, this Vanquish Soul Super Heavy Samurai deck is insane. I think that's definitely what I want to test the most if I were to play in regionals these next coming weeks. I think Vanquish Soul Super Heavy Samurai. It kind of just acted as a Rhoda because you would make the rank 4 and then you'd get to search the Fire Warrior. So it's kind of like another Rhoda that's also gains you an XYZ. Or if you already have the level 4, you would just make Omega. So I think this deck is really cool, and I think it could catch a lot of people off guard. I'm assuming one of the reasons it did so well is because people really just didn't know how to play against it. And then we saw Lab actually do pretty well at this event. I think Lab is just such a strong 3v3 deck. Like having one Lab on your 3v3 team is really strong. But it is kind of like RNG, Lab's just kind of 50-50 all around the board. Obviously, if it goes first, it's way better, but it's not like just entirely an FTK deck. It can go second, even though it plays traps. Now getting into some of these recent tops. So this is a Marinsis deck that I just saw. It actually got second place at a regional. I think Marinsis is actually pretty good still. I definitely don't think it's like just like an unplayable deck or like that bad. Like I think it has like okay win rates versus everything. It can still play a lot of hand traps, and then like the buff with the World Dragon Link 4 has just made this deck so much better than it was like a year ago. Like just that one card like kind of allows you to answer boards. I think his Despia matchup is rough too, but like not that many people are playing Despia anymore. But I imagine the Chimera matchup would probably be rough as well. But this deck list is pretty good. It's interesting that you cited the Gamma spells because that's just how valuable Gamma is. We kind of want to justify playing Gamma by citing the Eplizon, I think is what it's called. It's something like that. But it basically just negates spells. Unless that's the trap one. That might be the trap one, actually. I'm not sure on that. I would definitely double check if that's the trap or spell one. If that's the trap one, that'd be really interesting if he was playing the trap one, but I don't think that's possible. Like if you like that, the trap one actually might not be bad in a D barrier deck, but they're obviously going to always activate D barrier when you're already baited in XYZs. This deck doesn't lose the D barrier at all. I was just thinking from a purely mindset, but yeah, that's got to be the spell one. I mean, the trap one would make no sense, right? I don't see many people play this level 4 at the start. Obviously, he's doing the Bahamut Shark line. It's interesting that he played 2 Prosperity and 2 Desires. I wonder if that was just because he didn't have them, or if he just really thought it wasn't good enough to play 3 Pros. And then this was a first place winner at a recent regional. So Unchained has been winning mad regionals, but this is like the most recent a regional first place from the Vidaville regional. Anything interesting about this deck? So he's not siding the 0 3000, the like hardcore brick that everyone like Pack was siding it. I remember I saw on his list he actually summoned it on stream for the Unchained mirror. Um, it's a really good card, but it's really just good for the mirror. I think for like the extra link summons. He's playing the DDD rank 8. He is doing the Nightmare Griffin line, which I really like. I think it's pretty strong. He's citing Moonlight. I think Moonlight's interesting. It's pretty much just 2 more M perms, right? And it's probably like somewhat better than Valor, I would definitely say. Um, and then 3 D barriers on the side. I don't really like D barrier on the side as this deck. 3 Joel were really just for Manadium. Definitely need that for regionals. I think people play Manadium more at regionals. People just love that deck just because it's an FTK, right? It's like probably one of the best FTK, like actual FTK decks that can go second to. It's a really fun combo deck. Besides the 3 Bestials, 3 Bestials are pretty good. I think that's just for the Mirror and Labyrinth, Um, obviously Dragon Link. The Bestials actually hit like a lot more decks now. Obviously not really like Pearly or anything, but yeah, his side is really weak versus Pearly. It's just D barrier going first. His main deck is also kind of weak, I would say, to Pearly, but definitely got there. Only 2 thrusts is interesting. This Galaxy Eyes deck actually just did really well. It got top 4 at a regional. And then I read some of these cards. So these cards are actually pretty strong. I would definitely recommend checking them out. I love that he has the Upstart Goblin in the deck. I'm a big fan of Upstart right now and Pearly. So this deck actually has it has a side card that is a time card that's searchable. So it just inflicts 500. It has a Change of Heart that if you don't control Galaxy Eyes Photon, it's just pay 1000 Change of Heart for an XYZ, which I think is really interesting to know for the future. Like, there's just a Change of Heart that exists that you can use on just XYZs if you want to play 3 copies of it. Aside from Galaxy Eyes Photon, if you do control the dragon, then it's just a regular Galaxy Eyes. But I think that was probably just more so for Kashtira. And then this trap that he sides is also really cool. So this trap will negate everything in the chain link if you control the Galaxy. Pretty much all these cards, you need the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. But it'll shuffle every card prior in the chain link and negate them into the deck. So think about Chimera, if they go like Poly and then they send 2 of their guys in the graveyard, chain link 1, chain link 2. You can chain this card and it will negate and all of them will go back in the deck. So this card is really cool in the side deck for going first. I like this card a lot. It sucks you can only play with Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon though. Then it has like, the Garnet and everything else. It's a pretty good card. It's cool with the trade-in as well. It's probably why he couldn't run a card like Prosperity, because he's running trade-ins. He's just trying to run draw power with the talents too. And then we have the another top 8 with this 60 card Despia list. Despia has fallen off like a good amount in the meta recently. I think it could definitely make a comeback, and I think I don't know about 60 cards though, but I definitely think Despia is underrated and can make a comeback soon. I think everyone that played Despia just kind of flocked to Chimera. And then this is actually a top 8 list for the 3v3 for the Brazil YCS. We have a standard Kashtira list. I don't really notice anything different about this list besides maybe this XYZ monster. Some of the XYZ monsters, I mean, this is for the FTK. Definitely not bad. Some extra link action here for the extra deck monster removal. We have lava golems in the side. You've seen it before, right? Then we have another Unchained list. This list actually doesn't run Tour Guide, which I thought was interesting. He's running the Kaiju package with Slumbers. So 3 Slumbers, and he's running Pot of Extravagance. And he got top 8. So this deck is actually pretty cool. It's definitely a different spin on the Unchained I've seen. I think I've always thought you kind of had to run Tour Guide, even though people have like said that card sucks. I just love the Nightmare Griffin line. But he's decided not to run it. He's just running like Tour Guide Underworld Goddess. This is definitely like out of all the list I want to try most with Unchained to just see like what he was doing, because he's also running the main deck counter I was talking about before. He's running 2 of this guy, so like it's a really interesting list, right? And then we got the just like Unchained mini starters. We have to run more because we're not running Tour Guide. But the Pot of Extravagance is just crazy to me. He just said, fuck it. Like, he's just running max copies, right? And that's why he's got 2 of the DDD. That just seems so gambly to me. Like, I couldn't imagine. But yo, Pot of Greed's Pot of Greed, right? And then he also had 2 of the Trap Trick, the Fiend 1, in his side deck with the 1D Barrier, 1 Eradicator. And then we see this Furhire Runic. Furhire Runic is still really strong. Sometimes it can just brick, and sometimes I've literally watched this deck draw 3 off Runic Fountain and lose the game still because they just draw nothing off it. Like it's definitely a deck where I feel like things just kind of gotta go your way. But things did go his way. I mean, he got top 8, right? And it's interesting he's only running 1 starter for the search. Is there anything else I can say about this deck? I mean, we got the Sprint, we got the Link Rebo, we got the Chaos Hunter, so that's for the Mannequin Cat for sure. This Water Monster is interesting. I'm wondering what it is, because I'm assuming it's just for the Mannequin Cat as well. For maybe like Marincis, like what deck's really summoning water? It's interesting. If you know what that card is, let me know. And then we have a Rescue Ace list. So this was Hector Perez. I think he got top 16 it was. This Rescue Ace list looks pretty creamy, though, for Hector. So he's running the Designators. He has the books, kind of like the Pearly has started to trend on with the 3 Designator, 1 Book of Eclipse, 1 Book of Moon, just for the counters. He is running the Ibly Lock, so that's really strong in this deck. For going first, it really just helps your combos, and I think that's why he has like the 2 Small Worlds as well. He definitely has the Nib. So after playing Rescue Ace a bunch lately, I've noticed this deck, you kind of just, Nib is kind of annoying. You could definitely can play it in a way where like Preventer will float, even if they do have Nib, but I definitely like the 1 of Nib. I probably would have ran more. I wonder if he regrets that. He's got the Droll and Lockbird. I feel like to run 1 Droll for the Designator is like, yeah, you know, I was still doing that in Pearly, but Droll has fallen off so much. I think everyone's just realizing it's not as good as it was. Got the Gold Rare Rhoda. Let's go. The 2 Small World is just crazy to me. Like, why not 3? The Fire Kaiju will definitely catch people off guard. They'll let the Small World resolve with their Baron, and then they'll get Kaiju'd. Unless they know about that, or because this deck, usually when you do that, you would do it for Lava Golem with Small World, but this deck needs that normal summon, so I definitely like the Fire Kaiju for that with the Ash Bridge. Definitely cool. And then we got the Tour Bus, we got the Performer Pal. This is for the Ibly combo. I don't know if you've seen that, but you know, just look up a video. There's definitely videos going over the Ibly lock in this deck. And then he's running the Proxy. So basically, they just make Gigantic with this. And the Heat Soul, so you know, he's not doing the Firewall lock. Is there anything else? He's playing this Salamangreat. I actually haven't tested this before. Dweller is pretty interesting. I wonder how much that came up. He's got the Salamangreat. He's got the Red Resonator for the Gigantic. That's pretty cool for time. Lightning Storm, Evenly, two of it. Evenly is crazy. Well, I guess he has the 1 of Nib, so these were the last 2 cards for going second. Wonder how good that was. There's a lot of side in here for going first. We got 3 D barriers and 3 Solemn Judgments. That's 6 cards for going first. I wonder how easy it was to side out with this deck. I guess you would just get rid of the Ibly when they know it. It's kind of like your game 1 gimmick, maybe. So you're not taking out the Designators, so it's really hard to say. Okay, and then another top 16 list from Sao Paulo. So here we this is one thing I wanted to note too. I saw a lot of Fenrir in the on the feature matches. So a lot of people were actually maining. I saw Fenrir mained in Chimera. I saw it mained in Unchained. I saw it mained in the Vanquish Soul super heavy deck. Like I saw it mained in Pearly with Kamal playing it. Everyone was maining Fenrir. Fenrir is broken. Um, Even for that Rise Hard Dracosac combo, it's really cool. Like Fenrir is insane right now. This dude's actually running 2 Fallen of Albaz. This video's already going long. Maybe I should is there anything he's running the Dragoons? I think I like Dragoons a lot in this deck with I actually think it's pretty underrated with the fusion substitute. But yeah, that's pretty much it. He's running the one of a Luber. Just extra starters. Like the 3 nibs. I think this list is actually pretty solid. But yeah, that's a lot. So there's a lot of content to go over with these top performing decks. I'm definitely going to do another one, probably just over the whole YCS, one that's actually solidified. But these are just all the most recent decks that I've seen posted doing well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for the next one.